Wally, what's up, man? First guy in the chat today. You win the prize. Yeah, we had to do a little earlier today. I just have some meetings coming up later. GT won last night, so you guys can settle down today. Well, I mean, no, you can't. You can't settle down. Because then, you lose today, then it's like, well, you got to win tomorrow, right? But I think that was a big momentum type game for Georgia Tech to win because it just felt like the entire game that, or not the entire game. It felt like that whole last inning that like Duke was gonna pull it out. And so to get that win, it's really less of a momentum boost for Georgia Tech and a momentum killer for Duke, because that's the type of game that you find a way to win for Duke, and all of a sudden it's like they're going to win the series. But when you lose it, it's like a big, just like downer in the clubhouse. So it was big to win that one. Afternoon, what's up, Zach? Wally says, winning the day. That's right. What's up, fellas? What's up, Barks? Wally, this time of year is awesome for us college baseball nerds. Yeah, it is. I mean, we were talking about it last night on the late night stream. I mean, and we talked about it yesterday. I mean, you guys that were in here yesterday, I mean, we talked about it. Like there's so many consequential series like last weekend of conference play, more so than I remember in a while. I mean, it just seems like we were talking about last night, and actually the more I thought about it, even after the stream, I think no matter what I was saying is that like Georgia Tech is hoping that Tennessee wins the series against Arkansas, because nobody wants to see Tennessee as a 2 seed in their regional, and it's very likely they would get put at Georgia Tech if Georgia Tech is a host. But depending on how Florida and Alabama end up, if Alabama ends up not being a host, then they're probably going to Georgia Tech, right? I mean, so you're going to get a good SEC team in a Georgia Tech regional if they end up being a host. It seems like Georgia Tech getting back Schmidt has been huge. It has been big, man. And I was saying that for a while. I mean, they were doing a heck of a job without Schmidt for like a month. But it just seemed like all of a sudden that they started missing his bat more and more as some other guys cooled off. And he's hasn't skipped a beat since he returned. So that's been really big for their offense. How many games has Burris been in the leadoff spot? I think it's been 3 games. It hadn't been very long. I mean, what the issue was, Lodi's has not looked good offensively. Lodi's, they've moved him back behind Burris. I think the rationale was Burris was getting pitched around so much, even with like Hernandez batting behind him or Kent Schmidt batting behind him. Like you're going to pitch around Burris. Like those guys are doing great. They're fine. They are not Drew Burris, right? So like you're just going to pitch around him. So I think the rationale is like just put him in the leadoff spot and force them at least one at bat. They got to pitch to him. At least one at bat, they got to throw strikes, or at least throw him more strikes. So it's been a few games, but the lineup last night I thought looked pretty decent. There was one inning, I don't know if it was a fifth, where you had runners on first and second, no outs, and I think Lodi's was up, and just a few bad at bats with runners on first and second. And my thing is this, like if I'm Lodi's and I'm struggling, as he looked last night, I mean, just not very good contact, rolling over. I come up in a first and second, no outs. Like I'm going to try to get a base hit bunt and have a productive at bat for the team by moving them. And then I maybe get a hit out of it. And then I got my confidence back to get back in the box the next at bat. But overall, I think they did enough to win the game. And that's the most important thing. Now let's pull up D1 baseball here. Let's see what our matchups today are going to look like. So you got Wake Forest and Louisville starting at 1 p.m., starting in 16 minutes. And then you have Clemson, Pitt at 3, Coastal, Old Dominion at 3, Dallas Baptist Liberty at 4, West Virginia, Kansas at 5. West Virginia's got to win this series, I think, to get to still be in hosting consideration after losing last night. Georgia Tech and Duke are at 6 p.m. again. NC State and Stanford, 6 p.m. Georgia, Texas A&M will be at 6 p.m., even though it's kind of not a very consequential series, especially after Georgia won game 1. I mean, Texas A&M is at best can go 12 and 8 or 12 and 18 now. Florida and Alabama, that's a very consequential series because a lot of people talking about Florida, if they win this series, giving them a host. I don't know if I agree with that at 15 and 15, if that's where they finish. If they sweep to get 16 and 14, I understand them in the conversation. But if Alabama gets swept, all of a sudden they're at 15 and 15. Are they going to be a host? So it's a very consequential series. Vandy, Kentucky. Vandy's, again, I mean, just playing lights out, even though they really just, the star power on that team is not what it usually is. Troy, Southern Miss at 7. LSU, South Carolina, 7. North Carolina, Florida State at 7. Auburn, Ole Miss at 7. Oregon, Iowa at 7:05. Tennessee, Arkansas at 7:30. Texas, Oklahoma at 7:30. My Cougs with the win last night versus Arizona. Nice. That's a big win. Big loss for UC Irvine last night. Yes. Irvine cannot, losing to Fullerton. I know it dropped them RPI wise. Let's go look at the Warren Nolan. You know what's funny? The funny thing is, if you look at Warren Nolan's updated standings in the ACC, the 2 teams tied for first place in the ACC are like teams that people think are like have a chance at hosting, like bubble chances of hosting. Isn't that weird? All right, let's look at RPI. So Irvine fell behind Georgia Tech with the loss to Fullerton last night. Yeah, that's a killer for them. And now it's like I said. Some of these mid majors have like a bad weekend here at the end. It's gonna open up some spots for some other teams. Canes, what's up, man? Good afternoon. What have I missed? We just started. You haven't missed anything. We're going over some of the stuff last night. Turn this music down for you guys. Kyle's wearing my Sunday red, my Tiger Sunday red. I haven't worn this. You're right, Canes. I shouldn't wear this, but I haven't worn this shirt in a long time. Irvine blew the game after you got off the live stream. It was hilarious. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, and that's just something they cannot afford. Actually, have some interesting stuff we're going to talk about as well. Some of the interesting things I saw. First one I want to talk about, we're going to pull this up and then get your guys' thoughts on this. But I thought it was interesting. You guys probably saw my video on YouTube with Brett Boone, former second baseman in the big leagues who got the hitting coach job for the Rangers. And this is kind of like his take on, essentially what he's trying to do early as the hitting coach for the Rangers. All right, so let me pull this up real quick. All right, here you go. Take a listen.
I'm embracing currently what hitters and how they train and the metrics, and I'm simplifying it as much as I can. I came in, I was a little bit quiet at the beginning. I really got to figure out these guys individually. We're all so different. I might say one thing that resonates with one player, and it's not going to resonate with another. So I'm more figuring out personalities, what makes them tick. But when you get down to it, it's great hitting is great hitting, and that starts with a great approach. I said the one thing I want you guys to do is I want you to start watching.
Do you guys hear that? Great hitting is great hitting, and that starts with a great approach. Now keep listening.
What I want you guys to do is I want you to start watching the game. These iPads, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I'm envious of the technologies these guys have at their fingertips, but there's a time and a place for it. So do your iPad work, find out where that pitch was. Now there's a reliever coming in. I want you on this top step, and I want you to watch this guy. I want you to talk to your players. What's going on in the game? What's the scoreboard say? Who's hitting behind you? Does he have success off this guy? Does he not have success? That's going to give you a little intel. Are they going to come at me, or are they going to pitch around me with a base open? These are little things that I learned second half of my career that were really beneficial. I'm embracing currently.
So it's interesting. Now, how many big league hitting coaches right now do you think are having that kind of a conversation with their team? Not many. Not many, right? The idea that, hey, who's the guy hitting behind me? What has he had success off the guy that's on the mound? Then are they going to come? Does that mean they're going to come after me? Or is the guy behind me struggled, and that means they are going to come after me? Right, they're going to give me something to hit or they're going to pitch around me because the guy behind me struggled. And I can promise you, there are very, very little hitting coaches in the big leagues right now that are talking like that with their team. Hugus didn't have his best night, in my opinion. He only gave up 3 runs, but he didn't have much control. Well, I mean, he gave up 3 runs. I mean, if your not great stuff night is 3 runs, that's pretty good. Ballpark was packed but dead, if it makes sense. Quiet crowd until the 9th inning, but why did we have to wait till the 9th inning? I also didn't like the dugout attitude. No one was clapping on 2 strikes for their pitcher. It wasn't until Hugus was pulled where he started leading the 2-strike clap. We need to bring him back somehow, some way. Dude, I keep doing that. You guys see that? I'm getting used to this. I'm getting used to this mic, man, or this new lighting thing. Good afternoon, White House. What's up, man? Glad to hear a real hitting coach. Yeah, for real. I mean, that's like, and like he said it. He's like, I'm trying to be respectful. Like I'm getting up to date with all this like metrics and everything. But like, watch the game. Pay attention to the game. Understand, are they gonna come after you? Are they gonna pitch around you? Who's hitting behind me? What's the scoreboard say? What does that indicate for how they're going to pitch me? It's just kind of things that were common sense, at least at that level, 15 years ago, that have disappeared. But you're right. It's very refreshing to hear that. To hear that, just that kind of conversation coming from a big league hitting coach, because like the vast majority of them, all they're talking about is metrics. That's literally the only thing they talk about for the most part. Also, here's an interesting clip from the Georgia Tech game last night, and I'm going to give kind of my thoughts on this, on what happened. So, for those of you who didn't watch the game last night, this is in the 9th inning. 1-run game. Duke has runners on first and third. 1 out, I believe. 1 out or no outs. Like, it's that bad. It's like when I told you guys I was sweating and like it felt like Georgia Tech's going to lose this game. It's because the situation was really bad. First and third, I think it was either no outs or 1 out. I can't remember it in this exact clip. But Duke does a safety squeeze. Now watch what happens on the safety squeeze. Eric Tyler, Duke's first base coach. Just look at him. Look at it. Look at him. Oh, he's just like, you got to be kidding me. But here's the weird part about this play, and I want to know what you guys think. I'm not sure what Kent Schmidt is doing here at first base, but there is almost I can't think of any reason why he's just staying at first base in this situation. You have the tying run at third. Realistically, you know they're going to try something like this. You know Duke's the type of team that'll do it. And generally speaking, a safety squeeze means they're going to bunt it to first base. So if you have any chance of throwing the guy out at home, you're making the first baseman charge. Like as soon as he squares, like the first baseman is, again, he's not like super early because there's a runner on first, and that's the go-ahead run. So you got to make sure he doesn't just steal. But you're not just standing at first base. I legitimately, I think Kent Schmidt either forgot what he was supposed to do or it was like a blown play. And the only reason this ball, it goes foul is because Kent Schmidt either, again, forgot what he was supposed to do. It's like a blown play because I just have no idea. Unless Georgia Tech is saying we're going to concede the run to get the out at first, but that doesn't make any sense because now they have, I believe in this situation, it would be one out with the runner on second. So just like, yeah, there's no outs in this situation, actually, now that I remember. There's almost no reason why a first baseman would be staying here. So Georgia Tech wins the game because if he's charging, like, let's watch the bunt again. If he's charging, like, he's getting this ball. There's no way right here you think this ball's going foul. And if this is grass, it's a perfect bunt. But it's turf, and for some reason, I don't know how they brushed the turf on that yesterday, but this just somehow rolls foul. This is exactly what we talked about with Buck earlier in the season with the foul ball in the outfield. Second base should be covering first, right? Yeah, and you can see you can see in the background of the play, he's running here, and he's kind of like you can almost tell, like he was running towards first, and then he sees Schmidt just standing there. There's no bunt coverage where in this situation where you're making your first baseman stay at first. There's just none. And so I honestly think it was just an accident, and it just ended up working out perfectly for Georgia Tech. The run is scoring anyway. The only way the run doesn't score is if it is a foul ball, or am I wrong? Well, the run, like, let's just talk. I mean, let's say Kent Schmidt sees him square and starts running hard early, because this is not a like true squeeze. It's a safety squeeze. So the runner at third is not just going on the pitch. The runner at third is getting a secondary, making sure the ball is down, and then going. So you should, like, if you actually defend it properly, you can get the guy out at home, but you have to make a really good play. And it's going to be a tight play. So if it's actually bunted kind of hard, which is what I'm saying. So if they were trying to get the lead runner, I just don't know what Kent Schmidt's doing on this play, but like I said, it ended up working out. It's a very strange play. I've never seen a first baseman stay at first like that. Just sit at first base and not charge the ball, because that's really the first baseman's ball. Even if you don't get the out at home, like the first baseman comes and gets that and just nice toss to the second baseman at first. That's a first baseman that's unaware and or unathletic. I don't think I think he just forgot. I don't know. Unaware is probably the right thing to say. Now, he did have a massive bases clearing double earlier in the game. So he brought in a bunch of runs for the Jackets. But again, when I saw the play live, I'm thinking, what is he doing? He's just sitting back at first. And then as soon as it went foul, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the only reason that ball goes foul is because he's not charging to get the ball. So really weird. Our high school team usually practices these situations to avoid this type of confusion. Yeah, everybody does. I think he just I just think he forgot what his assignment was, or I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. How about Florida last night, 14-14 in SEC play? Yeah, I mean, to go from 1-11 to start in SEC play, and they have a legit, like they can literally have a winning record in the SEC, is insane. But Florida did lose 2 guys yesterday to injury. I have not seen how serious the injuries are. I haven't seen that reported anywhere. Like Zach said, Luke Heyman was one of them. Interested to see how Florida looks without Luke Heyman. So it looks like Luke Heyman's not going to be in the lineup. Again, I didn't see the injury, so I don't know. I knew they were both taken out of the game. I don't know how serious they were. But the injury bugs killed Florida. But again, they still played really well. And I'll tell you what, that's another team. If they don't host, you do not want them as a 2 seed in your regional. Like that goes for Tennessee, Florida, Alabama. Like depending on how those 3 teams finish, they could be hosts. They could be 2 seeds. He's out for the year. Okay. Broke his forearm. Yikes. You know what's bad when they had to move Sear to second base? Is that how you say his name, Sear? Hope they send Florida to Tallahassee. Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, I think Florida probably goes to Tallahassee for sure if they don't host. I'm doing the math in my head and I'm trying to figure out, okay, if Georgia Tech is a host, who are potential like demon 2 seeds? And it's Tennessee, Florida's 1, but Florida could go to Tallahassee. And again, probably will, just because the rivalry will make that a really good one. And then you have Alabama, who, if they're not a host, they could probably go to Georgia Tech. So it's going to be interesting to see how they divvy that up. Gators' entire up the middle is out. Jones, Shelton, Kurland, now Heyman. Sully will somehow win, though. Yeah, if there's one thing he can do is he can win when it matters, right? He can win when it matters. And another interesting one to watch, like Northwestern upset UCLA last night. And again, now UCLA, if we look at the RPI, UCLA went down 5 points in RPI because of last night's loss. They were 10th in RPI. Now they're 15th. They cannot afford another loss. Northwestern. And even if they win, I don't know what's going to happen to their RPI. So again, like if they lose again, they are in big trouble for hosting considerations. So again, there's so many. Oregon's at 18 in RPI. Again, if they lose again, and then again, this is the thing that's so weird to me. This is the thing that I do not understand. Oregon State is 6th in RPI, and I know we talked yesterday about how they've played a lot on the road, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It's. I mean, they've played 20 games on the road and 17 at home. I don't think that's a. They've played a lot of neutral sites. Okay, that's fine. It's still strange. Oregon beat Oregon State 4 out of 4 games. And Oregon is like 18th in RPI, and they play in the Big Ten. Oregon is 9-1 against Q1, 3-1 against Q2, 18-8 against Q3, which I think is probably why their RPI is like lower, but it's still ridiculous. Like Oregon's 9-1 against Q1. All right. Oregon State is 8-9. But Oregon State's 6th in RPI? I don't understand. Yeah, White House winning by 1 run to a 22-29 team. Yeah, again, last night they're in a sweat with Cal State Northridge, who's had a rough year. Number 7 in the country, by the way. Yeah, again, it just doesn't make sense. I've been saying it for weeks. Yeah, Buck, I had to start a little bit earlier today. I've been saying it for weeks, actually months now. Oregon State is a good team. Are they a top 10 team in the country? No. No. They are not. And the other thing I don't like is, and I think this is true, like I saw a interview with one of the college softball coaches, and he talked about, and this is what I told you guys this as well. I think it's really dumb, and he brought this up. He said, one of the teams is like the 4th overall seed, and they got like one of the, like, it doesn't make any sense if you're like the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed and you get like the best 2 seed in the country in your regional. That does not make sense. The whole point of being a 1 seed means you get the easiest path to the College World Series. You're matched up against the 16th seed, and your regional should be the easiest regional. That's just how it should work. And he brought up the point is we need to seed like 1 through 32 or something. That way we know who the best 1 seeds are and who the best 2 seeds are. Because some of the 3 seeds and the 4 seeds are going to be conference champs and stuff like that. So you can't seed that. But there needs to be 32 seeds. That way the 1 seed gets the 32nd seed as their 2 seed, right? And I think that makes total sense. Because you see some of these regionals, and we'll see them here in the next, couple weeks coming up. We will see a like number 2 seed or number 3 seed get matched up with like one of the best 2 seeds, like an SEC team or an ACC team or whoever. And it's like, well, why didn't that team go to like the 14th seed? That doesn't. So I saw that and I was like, I was like, I've been talking about that for like 2 or 3 years. But he laid it out perfectly. Just, you need 1 through 32 seeded. That way the 1 seed gets the easiest 2 seed in their regional. Because the 1 seed technically should have the easiest path. Should have the easiest path to a super regional, right? And then a super regional is going to be difficult no matter what. Because the 16th seed is going to have the 17th seed as their 2 seed, right? So like you get the easiest regional, but then you're gonna face the weakest regional with the best 2 seed in your super regional. So it just makes it makes it. I don't know why is that not been thought of or implemented? I don't understand. For example, Dallas Baptist is probably the 19th or 20th team, but they will get sent to number 1 overall Texas. Exactly. And and you guys have heard me say this, my whole point, the whole thing about they need to be regionally close. Like, I get that. I understand the argument, but that doesn't do a great thing for competitive balance. That doesn't do anything for making, again, rewarding a 1 seed. The reward of being the number 1 overall seed is that you get the easiest regional. As much as you can control it, you get the easiest regional, right? And then with the 3rd and the 3 and the 4 seed, you can do more of the, kind of regional teams that make it into the tournament, and see what makes the most sense. But that makes, I don't understand why that isn't what's happening yet. I don't understand that. What is Auburn's loss to Ole Miss due to their hosting chances? Nothing yet. I think I think as long as Auburn doesn't get swept, they will be a host. But if they lose the series, they may not be a national seed. Their RPI is 2. So I think, like, for Auburn's case, at least I think unless they get swept, they're going to be a national seed. Just with their RPI, their strength of schedule is number 1 in the country. So I just think the metrics line up to where Auburn's going to be a national seed unless they get swept. And even then, they're still probably a host. They're still a host. The 32nd team should be sent to number 1 Texas. Yeah, exactly. Whoever's the number 1 seed should get the 32nd seed in their regional. And then the 16th overall seed gets the 17th seed in their regional. So you get like the toughest regional, technically speaking, right? It's never going to be perfect, but at least by the seeding, it should make sense. And then the 3 seed and the 4 seeds can be as close regionally as it works. Right? That's my point. Wow, Dusty Isaacs decides to make an appearance today. Wow. Just showing up 35 minutes late after I sent the text out to him. We're talking about how the NCAA tournament format should be changed. Now, again, I'm in favor of just getting rid of the regional format altogether and going with an extra round where every round is a 3-game series. Because I do think that makes it like the problem with the regional format is that the mid-majors are at such a disadvantage because they just do not have the depth that the Power 4 teams do, and particularly the ACC and the SEC. They just do not have the depth. So it becomes it's just so, and we've seen that happen in recent years. There's not a lot of mid-majors making it to the College World Series because it's so hard to get to win a regional, and it's always been hard to win a regional. But again, if you get to Game 5 of a regional final, and you've played that in 3 days, you are like your bullpen. It doesn't matter. Like I've told you guys this, you don't have a strategy in that final game. It's just like, who do we got? Who can throw an inning for us today? That's it. And again, you don't play that format at any point in the season. So I just think you just do the extra round. Or no. You just add an extra week. You just don't need to start it earlier. You just add an extra week at the end. The College World Series 1 week later. No, and Buck, I understand that part. I understand the regional format. There's a lot of chaos. But what I will say is there is less chaos than there was in years past. In the 2000s, like you saw a lot of mid-majors make runs and everything. And again, because like the talent parity was different then. You weren't, so many schools were not just recruiting like completely nationwide, right? And so the local mid-majors were able to get some of the local really talented players, or at least talented players that didn't get picked up by the big schools. And in recent years, you don't see that as much. It's kind of like the regional host generally wins the regional. But then coaches have one less week of vacation, Kyle. What vacation? I talked to a guy at the College World Series last year that seemed to know there are reasons they won't play it out later. Well, the NCAA may not even be making those decisions in a few years, Buck, so we'll see. Will Vandy host? Oh, for sure. Yeah, Vandy's going to be a national seed. Vandy will be a national seed. Starts getting into 4th of July weekend, etc. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Or maybe you just make teams play like a few less non-conference weekends, and make them play more conference weekends, or like one less non-conference weekend. And there's ways you can get around it, right? But there's a lot of people pushing for that as well. And players have one less week of exposure in the Cape Cod or other summer leagues. Cape Cod League is already people are not it's actually a thing that the Cape Cod League, there's a lot of players are not playing summer ball now and everything. Especially pitchers. Pitchers throw 50 innings and they're like, I can't go to the Cape this year. Throwing too many innings. Ask Dusty about that. Vandy is going to be a national seed. Yes, 100%. Vandy is right now 4th in RPI. They beat Kentucky last night. They're 17-11 in the SEC. And as far as conference standings go, as I pull it up, Vandy is tied for 3rd in the SEC with Georgia and LSU. So Vandy is definitely going to be a national seed. And every projection that's come out has said that as well. Canes, once you become a big-time coach, vacation is out the window. The only vacation you have as a college coach is basically when fall workouts end in like the beginning or middle of November, depending on what part of the country you're in, and through December. That's really the only time where you kind of like have vacation, you know. The problem is for the northern teams starting their conference schedule earlier. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Dusty, you don't agree that Vandy is a national seed? Mizzou will host? Okay, Smitty. All right, Smitty. Smitty trolling now. Smitty's trolling us now. Dude, I keep kicking this camera. No, I do agree. I hadn't realized they had been so good lately. Yeah, dude, go Dusty, go look at their numbers as a team. Go pull up Wake Louisville just started. Yeah, unfortunately, I have to go in like 20 minutes, but we'll pull that up and watch it for now. Dusty, this is an amazing case study in how good of a coach Tim Corbin is. Go look at their offensive numbers. Go look at Vandy's offensive numbers. They have 0 star power on the entire team. I guarantee you if you didn't look at anybody's, you couldn't name a single person on Vandy's team right now, besides like one of my former clients. And somehow they're like winning and beating teams. Their offense is hitting like 260. They're scoring in like 6 runs per game as an offense, and they're 17-11 in the SEC. Scott Brown's done an amazing job pitching wise. Again, they don't have like big name guys, but they just have a really good bullpen, and their starters have been good. Yeah, RJ Austin is like the one guy, Buck, but he has not been good. And I kind of called that before the season. Like everyone was kind of hyping him up, and I'm like, I don't see it. He hasn't been. He's got the tools, but he's not a star. He's not he's really just not as polished of a baseball player. But Vandy also makes like no errors. They're making like a little bit more than half an error per game. They have like 30 errors on the year in like 53 games. It's crazy. Smitty, thoughts on Yale? Yale is going to be the 4 seed nobody wants in their regional simply because of their Friday night guy who's a freshman, Ullman, who's like legitimate dad pitching the big leagues. He is 94, 97 and is dominating the Ivy League. Dominating. Kyle, why don't you tell us some guys who you missed on this season? Are you talking about what are you talking about? I actually just give me some examples. Tim Corbin, National Coach of the Year for what he did this year, definitely should be in the running. If Georgia Tech wins this series, Danny Hall is the ACC Coach of the Year. I agree as well. I think everyone projected Georgia Tech to finish 10th, kind of right in front of Miami. Harvard just put up 3 on Yale. Oh no, Yale has to be in the tournament, man. They are so talented. That Friday night starter is nobody wants to face that guy. As far as guys I missed on this year, I don't know. I don't know who you just seem to act like you called everything right. I'm not. I mean, just tell me one thing I got wrong. I mean, last weekend I said who did I have winning? I had Miami beating Virginia. But I also had Duke beating Clemson. So I split. I was wrong on Notre Dame this year. Their pitching has improved so much this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would have predicted Notre Dame to do what they've done. Kudos to the coaching staff. They figured out a way to get them rolling and playing in the right direction. Notre Dame's legit. Step 2 tonight in the Miami sweep. Oh, Buck always trying to troll the Miami boys. Never said that about Colin Hall. I said he had a 65 grade arm, which he did. And now, Dusty, you know what, Dusty? You're about to get a 5-minute timeout for saying something like that. Making stuff up. Their catcher has been the best player in the country the past month. Let's go look at the Notre Dame stats, actually. That's actually a good idea. Let's see what they've been doing to, gosh, like the screen is so bright. So as a team, they're hitting 266. But Carson Tinney, 345, 13 doubles, 15 homers, 33 walks, 36 strikeouts. Just solid across the board. Pitching staff is throwing to a 503. I think this is just a case of they've scored 346 runs in 50 games, which is, again, do the math. That's just under 7 runs per game, which is not great. They are slugging 440. I mean, they're OPSing over 800, which is fine. They've only made 41 errors on the year. That's really good. STG, you said 80? Swear to no, I didn't, dude. Dusty, never believe a thing Dusty says. He always takes it to an extreme. He can't just say the truth. I was wrong on Maryland this year. Thought they were going to be I honestly thought they were going to be pretty good this year too. I'm surprised with how they've performed. Dusty being a little mean today, dude. He called me today too. White House. He called me, FaceTime me, and he was in the exact same attitude. So I'm not surprised this is how he's acting. No surprise. And Notre Dame has been without Waters the past 5 games. Bino, yeah, 9 home runs too, 9 doubles, 317, more walks and strikeouts. A lot of RBIs for them. I mean, Notre Dame's just finding a way to do it, man. It's just like there's no other way to say it. Sometimes, again, and that can go like kind of what we've seen with Clemson in their slide. It was like they were winning every single 1-run, 2-run game. And again, I told you guys, like, one of the things my dad would always talk to me about was run differential. Once you're like halfway through a season and you have like enough of a sample size, run differential is a very good metric to determine how good a team is. And Clemson, I think, if you looked at it before that slide, their run differential there was not a lot of margin there. And all of a sudden it was like they started losing games because their offense had been pretty anemic the whole year, like just compared to what people thought it was going to be. But someone brought up Wake earlier, and that is another team in the in the NCAA regionals. Like whoever gets Wake, and who knows, Wake could sweep this weekend. And let's see, what would they finish at? Let's go to our good old Warren Nolan. Wake would finish, if they sweep, they will finish at 17-13 in ACC play. Again, there's so many teams that it's just like, I don't know why they're not ranked. Virginia, I think, is Virginia shouldn't be ranked? They're 15-10 in the ACC. Georgia Tech is number 1 in the ACC overall. Tied with NC State. Not ranked. Clemson's number 6. They're ranked. Duke's number 6. They're ranked. Louisville's number 10. They are ranked. Guys, make that make sense. Louisville is right now in sole possession of 10th place in the ACC. And they are ranked. Georgia Tech is tied for first in the ACC. They are not ranked. I mean, it's like, oh man. And again, that's a great example that something's up, because I've been saying that for weeks, and you guys are pretty much in agreement. But again, that something's up. Why is the ACC so undervalued? Why is it undervalued? Why? Why is it undervalued? We don't know. We don't know why the ACC is undervalued. How about the kid from Kentucky last night wearing 96 to like the temple part of his helmet and just staying up, like taking his stuff off and walking to first base? Like a direct hit too. It wasn't like it glanced. All right, guys. Wake has tied the game. He'll just put one on the board. All right, time for lunch for the kid. Yeah, same. I got to go as well. Guys, have a good rest of your Friday. It's the weekend. And